gosh, I keep doing the wrong thing. Awesome. All right, I think I got myself fixed up here. So we want to welcome, if we have any guests tonight, if this is your first time on or your second time and you're not officially a member, if you could unmute and say hello for us.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cassidy. This is my first time on. I'm very excited to be here and can't wait to meet you all in person and actually be active.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So tell us how you heard about the branch, who invited you, or how you got connected, any of that good stuff.
So I actually first heard about it from Brandon Murden. And then I went to school with Marcus at Paul Quinn. So it was awesome knowing two people in the group already. And of course, I spoke to you briefly. So it's just been really welcoming so far.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. We are glad to have you. And I'll have to send a special thank you to Mr. Murden. And then also, thank you so much, Pastor Halton. It's good that you know some good folks. So she was able to see that you were a member, and it also encouraged her to go ahead and connect with us. So thank you so much, Pastor Halton.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Cassidy. Olivia is going to drop some information in the chat for you. And then if you'll stay on at the end so I can talk with you and make sure I have some information from you. And if you can send a private message to Olivia as well, she'll make sure to get it to me as well. Anybody else? And I see the hand up for, it doesn't have your name. It says All Truth Foundation. If you want to unmute and say hello to us. While they are unmuting, Miss Holly, can you go ahead and say hello to us? I know we have quite a few. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
How you doing? This is Kevion Moore with All True Foundation. I got partnered with you guys back when we had a march with Next Generation, and we had a conversation about things we can, accomplish in the communities for the youth and so forth. And I'm willing and I'm waiting to get partnered up with a few of y'all members so we can impact the community and help out.
Awesome. So, Mr. Moore, you want to tell them how long it has taken for us to get you connected? Because we actually met when. You want to tell that secret?
Well, it's been a while.
Exactly.
Well, it hasn't been a while, but I stay connected because I get the messages and everything. I have a second phone, so my main phone is what I use the most. But I do pay attention, and I do try to support it as much as I can, and I get further and get into the wave of partnering with y'all more and being on here more, speaking, and just being a team player.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Moore. We met last year in Austin, you all,
at
a march in 2021. And I can't remember which march it was. I think it was the Voting Rights March. And a matter of fact, it was May 31st, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was May 31st or in July. But yes, I remember from last year. So thank you so much, Mr. Moore. So thank you so much. And we're looking forward to you getting connected with us.
We need to have the meetings in person too, But all right, we're gonna speak.
We'll talk. Okay, Miss Holly.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So grateful to be in this meeting with you all. So thank you so much. My name is Holly Blank. I'm a United States Navy veteran, and I operate and own and brand of Karma Lifestyle and Clothing, and also Smile Glam by Holly. I'm a dental hygienist here. I work at UT Southwestern. And I honestly just attended my first Mesquite NAACP event for Juneteenth. And I was just so humble and inspired by the community and the organization and the event they put on. And it just led me to want to connect with the DFW organization. And I think that's how on Facebook, I started doing my research and trying to pull up the org. And so how I can get connected, not just with business, but obviously through your business and your blessings, you want to contribute contribute and help and assist the community. So I'm just glad to be here in attendance and grateful to God for any opportunities to come now and in the future. And yeah, I'm just happy to meet you all. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Holly. We appreciate you and glad to have you to have connected with our Facebook group as well. And so again, Olivia is going to drop information in the chat for each of you to make sure you opt in. Number one, for communications, as Mr. Moore was mentioning, that's how you find out about all of our meetings. You get our newsletter. It's via opting in via DFW Metro NAACP.org. Okay, so make sure you all do that. And also, she's going to drop some information for our group me chats. You also want to connect with those with the individual group that you want to connect with or committee. So Miss Renata, thank you again, Miss Holly. We're looking forward to you connecting. And likewise, if you have time at the end, please stay on so we can personally connect and everything. And I can give you some personal contact information for me and get to know more about. Listen, we're also wanting to start our Veterans Affairs Committee this year. So I heard that. So I want to make sure to connect you there as well. So Miss Renata.
Hello, everyone. Happy virtual hellos. And I actually came across the DFW Metro NAACP branch through a CAP meeting for Louisville ISD. Crystal was in attendance and was just talking about engagement and partnering with organizations. It was specifically around the hackathon. And as an educator, I am all for anything that shows the brilliance of Black minds and joins students together to see themselves as geniuses. And so I was excited to join the NAACP branch. Originally, I joined in the Dallas area, and now I'm transferring membership over to the DFW Metro. So I am so excited for all of the opportunities, for what is to come, and for any way I can support in helping to showcase and demonstrate Black brilliance. So I'm excited. Thank you guys. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you so much, Renata. I'm looking forward to, I enjoyed talking. Me and Renata had church on the phone today. So I am super excited that you were able to connect with our branch. And also, I know the education team is going to be blessed by your presence and contributions, and I am in our branch as a whole. So thank you all so much. You all in this work, I think we all can be blessed by each and everybody on this call as involved in the community in some shape, form, or capacity. So when we allow God to give us those impromptu moments to worship and just praise him and thank him for giving us the strength to do all that we do, we embrace that moment. And so we had that moment, and I wanted to share that with you all because I know all of you on this call can relate how it takes all of us to lift each other up as we go about this work that we all are doing. Miss Tommy?
Hi, everyone. My name is Tomi.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I also work at UT Southwestern, incidentally. And I found the group because I went looking. I was Googling, trying to find it a few months back, and I'm glad to finally connect.
Thank you so much, Miss Tommy. I am so excited that you were able to connect with us. And listen, each and every one of you, it takes all hands on deck and all boots on the ground. So we all have great vision and things that we want to do, but I want each and every one of you, even the ones that this is your upkeep time coming and have been a part of the family. I want everybody, when you get off the call today, to make a commitment to get involved in the work that we are wanting to do, trying to do, and that we are doing within our community, because there is so much work to be done. And in order for us to make that impact, it's going to take each and every one of you. And if you all have been a part of the church, as you all know, I'm a chaplain, and I will say this, I believe that when God gives a vision, he gives a purpose. Everybody that walks through the doors of the church in some shape or form or fashion, they are the branches. They are some shape, form, or fashion. They contribute to that coming forth and those things taking place and those things being executed. So it's no different here. He has called each and every one of us to a purpose, to a cause, and all of you that are here today in some shape, form, or fashion, we need you, okay? And we can't use you if you don't come on board and get involved. off. So I am looking forward to you all getting connected and getting involved. If there's something that you feel that we need to be doing and that has been brought to your attention, definitely contact me or anybody in our organization and let us know, because it's not just about me. This is all of us. We all have a responsibility to our community. And so we definitely want to do all that we can to make the impact that we've been called to make. And so again, thank each and every one of you. And I think that information has been dropped in the chat for you all to link to our to get our communications, and also in order for you all to get connected to the GroupMe chat. So you all, I'm trying to use two screens here, so let me see what's going on. Awesome. Okay. So believe it or not, so that was where we were supposed to be. So y'all let me know if I freeze up, because I'm at one of my other offices. And so my internet is a little slow. So do we have any June birthdays or June anniversaries? You all please go ahead and announce them and let us know. Oh, I'm sorry, you all. Is there anybody else on the call that is a first-time guest or even a second-time guest? I'm so sorry, forgive me. Okay. So thank you all. Let's go ahead and go to our June birthday and anniversaries. And if somebody comes on later at the end of our meeting today, we'll open the door for anybody else. I said open the doors like we in church. But if anybody else joins the call and this is their first time, we'll make sure to give them that opportunity to introduce themselves at the end. Any June birthdays or anniversaries, unmute and let us know. None?
Earlene
Okay.
Jackson. Earlene Jackson.
Okay. Is it a birthday or anniversary?
It's my 42nd anniversary.
Awesome. Oh, that is beautiful. Congratulations to you and your husband. That
Thank
is
you.
super exciting. God bless you all for many, many, many more. That is absolutely beautiful. I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Anybody else? You're welcome. Anybody else? Any birthdays or anniversaries? Okay, I want to share some information about our membership campaign. You all get your phone out and scan the scanner, take a picture of it. So therefore, when you meet people in the neighborhood or in the community, you can share and bring them on board to connect with the work that we're doing in our community. And as I tell you all every single month, it's easy as 1, 2, and 3. All you got to do is say hello to someone, introduce yourself, then you share the QR code, just pull your phone out. And I've shown you all a zillion times. I literally keep it on the front of my face of my phone. So it takes literally seconds to get to the QR code. Y'all see? Took me a second. So hello, introduce yourself. A QR code, have them scan it. When they scan it, all the information that they need to know about DFW Metro is going to be there. We had someone mention that they were living in a different area. They wanted to transfer their membership here. The membership transfer form is there. If you want to become a member, our memberships are only $30 a year, annually, just $30. That's all we're asking from you. That information is there. Also, how to opt in for communications, how to email us. There's information. As you all know, I was appointed as the state vice chair for the environmental committee of the NAACP for the state of Texas. And one area that we've been advocating for is an area called Sand Branch. So there's information about Sand Branch on there and some other information, opportunities for you to pay via Zelle or Venmo for your membership. So check it out. You all go ahead and hold your phone up and scan the also take a picture of it so you will have it handy. And guess what? If you've been getting your newsletter every month, all this information is also in your newsletter. So now the time and place that we've been waiting for to introduce our speaker for the evening. And I think, Olivia, you said Monica said she could pull up the slides for
Yes,
Chris.
I have it. I'm unable to share my screen. Can you? make me available to
Oh,
do that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I did it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, and let me stop sharing mine. Hang on, you all. Okay, I promise you all. Before we introduce Chris, I want to say I'm going to introduce her at the end because somebody's been helping me, and I definitely want to recognize that. But we will do that at the end. So did I? Hang on one second. Okay, Monica, your screen is showing, but for some reason I don't see all of mine. Is mine still showing too? Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm in full presentation mode. I can stop sharing real fast.
No, you don't have to. I'm just trying. Okay. Okay. I thought mine was still sharing, but obviously it's not. You all can't see my screen, correct? Okay. So let me go ahead and introduce Chris. First of all, before I give the formal introduction to our speaker tonight, let me give the informal introduction. I have known Chris and Martha, his wife, for over a decade, probably at least 15 years, if not longer. We are all residents in the same city, and my son went to school with his son Solomon, and we all got, oh, Chris is going to kill me for saying this, but we got kids, sometimes they get beside themselves. So Chris was a little rebellious for a hot second, and I mean just for a hot second. And the Thomas family was warm enough and loving and kind enough that they were able to take my son in, and Chris was able to live with them for a little while because he thought I was just a monster over there. And so Martha and Chris and their family welcomed him in. And so I love them to pieces, and they're more like family to me because, again, not only are we neighbors in the same community, but our children were classmates and friends growing up. And then they opened their home to my son, and they've also been just as warm and welcoming to me. And so that was the informal introduction that I wanted to give first before giving a formal introduction. So Chris has yet to meet a stranger. During his 30+ years in corporate management of consumer goods and products, both domestically and internationally, Chris has literally made thousands of friends through his innate ability to connect with and care for other people. A gifted college athlete, Chris played an integral role in coaching and developing the athletic achievements of his children, Ella and Solomon. People are immediately put at ease by his big laugh and zest for life, and by his ability to communicate a message of positivity and hope. As a senior executive at Procter & Gamble, Frito-Lay, and Alberto Culver, among others, Chris brought a drive for excellence to his work, earning recognition and industry awards, including Salesperson of the Year and Supplier of the Year. He is a member of the Board of Directors of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, as well as Touched by Suicide, that's TBS, he's board member. Also, AFSP, Project 2025 board member, and College of Worcester ad hoc alumni trustee. He and his wife, Martha, and son, Solomon, were recipients of the 2019 AFSP Lifesaver Award. Chris often jokes that as Solomon's dad, he had the rare privilege of raising his own favorite NFL player. And no player has a more enthusiastic father in the stands. Chris continues to play sports, travel, and barbecue some of the world's best ribs. And so he is none other than the father of NFL player Solomon Thomas, who plays for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's a defensive lineman, awesome player. Although I know all of you on the call are Cowboys fans, but we do take a part-time seat and cheer Solomon on because he's our own hometown NFL player. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Chris Thomas.
Thank you so much, Crystal, and thanks everybody for attending tonight. I've always been a long time NAACP fan from the time I was in college to even when I went over to Australia. We had a group of folks over there that we try to do some things informally. So always a big time supporter. And even my father-in-law was a big time supporter of the NAACP. He actually marched with Martin Luther King back in the 60s. So it's in our family, in our blood. So I think, Monica, you're controlling the slides. I've got a bunch of slides there. Monica's probably thinking, how in the heck is he going to get through all these in 20 minutes? But I'll breeze through a lot of them. I'm not going to share the video that I typically share in this presentation. It's an 11-minute video that sort of shares the defensive line and the Thomas family story of losing our daughter Ella. So Monica, what I'll do is when I want you to go to the next slide, I'll just push next. So you're ahead of me. Great. It's awesome. So today's game plan. So you'll see a lot of sports metaphor in here. I just want to share a little bit about my story. That's CT, and the TDL is the defensive line. Sort of share our focus and why we got to where we're at in the defensive line. Talk about the importance, particularly for young people of color, about a topic that isn't typically talked about in the African-American community, and that is suicide prevention. And I'm going to talk about how TDL, or the defensive line, is trying to create a message to leaders of young people about the importance of whole health, of strong mental focused environment for our youth of color in this day and age. So the next slide typically is when I share the video. And you can see, Monica, and go to the next slide, which I think should have a bunch of pictures on it. It has the College of Worcester. Yeah, that one there. So on that slide, what you have is a little bit about my background. Let me tell you a little bit about myself, about my family. And because I'm not sharing the video, I'd like to say a little bit about Martha and Ella, my family. So the defensive line was started in May of last year. It's a direct result of Martha and I losing our daughter Ella to suicide on January 23rd of 2018. I'm gonna tell you, growing up in a family, you can see some pictures there of the Midwest, from Minnesota to Ohio. I was raised in Ohio. My wife Martha was raised in Minnesota. You'll see a picture there of us getting married June 16th of 1985. So this June, we have celebrated our 37th anniversary. My father-in-law and my brother-in-law both married us. They were Methodist ministers. But being from Ohio, being from a Black family, we didn't talk about mental health. Mental health for me was doing the dishes. And we didn't know anything about it. And I could tell you, our world was rocked when our daughter Ella took her life because of depression, bipolarism, as well as suffering from domestic abuse. So, out of that, we wanted to find a way to create what my pastor always said: when you're given a mess, create a message, and to find a way to turn our pain into purpose. So that's what we did. And a little bit later, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the defensive line. But what else you have on this slide is, in the upper left-hand corner is a picture of Ellen Solomon draft night in Philadelphia of 2017, when he was drafted third pick in the first round. And that was a sacred moment for us, celebrating him being drafted. Every kid's dream to be able to do that, after playing high school football in Capel and football at Stanford. And she was just so proud of her big brother. And then the other picture you see there at the top, right by the Australian flag, is Ella and Solomon. They were two peas in a pod. Ella was Solomon's sort of best friend, helped him to socialize, helped him to dance, helped him to find a way to talk, because he was an introvert like myself. But she was an unbelievable athlete herself, not at the professional level, but she was a great swimmer, tennis player, as well as basketball player. And she could hold her own in any debate with anybody. Her goal was to eventually help underprivileged kids. She loved doing her mission trips in Chicago when she went there with our church. But like I mentioned before, unfortunately, Ella was one of the kind of people that would give until she can give no more. She would give her own coat to a stranger's back. When we went on vacations, in particular in places like San Francisco, she loved taking my money and giving it to homeless people. And she just had a great heart. Solomon likes to call her the human narrator. She could go into any room and she could talk up to a CEO. She could also intersperse and communicate with people who have special needs. She was just an amazing person, but Ella would give till she can give no more. She wouldn't take care of herself. She would give, and she would find a way to give others love, but not give herself love, give herself grace. And unfortunately, on January 23rd, 2018, despite the fact that that same night she was helping two other of her friends save their lives who were looking and contemplating dying by suicide, she took her own life. So the next slide shows you, what we want to do, which is to create a world where no young person of color dies by suicide, and to end the epidemic of youth suicide, especially of young people of color, by transforming the way we communicate and connect about mental health. There are a couple key things here on this slide. One is communicate and connect. So one of the things that I mentioned before, growing up in the African-American community, we didn't talk mental health. We didn't talk about things like yoga or meditation or journaling or going to a therapist. And although we think it's important, I think it's important to focus on your faith, making sure you talk to your clergyman. It's also important, if you got an issue with your mind, to talk to a therapist or find a way to quiet your mind. And so that's what we're talking about as we mean by communicate and connect. So people change the language about suicide and also talk about it differently, because we want to help people understand the warning signs, how to create a supportive environment. And the other piece is to make sure we talk to leaders of young people of color about the importance of knowing that it's okay to not be okay. And so we called it the defensive line instead of Ella's story, because this problem is bigger than just Ella. It's a huge problem. The next slide, you'll see a picture of a Boeing 737. And the reason why I had that slide up there is that on the average week, under the age of 24, you've got 119 people each week dying by suicide. 119, that's 2/3 the size of a Boeing 737. Now, the defensive line testified in front of Congress in February of this year. And one of the things that I shared that is if a Boeing 737 was going down each week, we would find a way to halt all air traffic until we fixed it. And that's what we got to have Congress, our teachers, our leaders, our clergymen, everybody galvanize together to figure out what this issue is. The next slide shows you some other statistics as it relates to people under the age of 24. There's 17, on average, 17 per day dying by suicide. And then if you look at the last graphic there, you can see that right now suicide prevention is not funded and mandated unilaterally, or there is not an equal playing field. You have some states that do a great job of training and educating. Their educators will spend 4 to 6 hours each year on it. You have other states spending 30 minutes on a video and clicking that they're done with suicide prevention. So we got to find a way to address this. The other piece is the second leading cause of death for kids under the age of 24. And there's one statistic that is not on here, but I find it just alarming when I hear that every 4.5 hours, there's one Black person dying by suicide in the US. So we've got a problem, we've got a huge problem, and we got to talk about it. We can't put our head in the sand, and we got to understand we got an issue, we got a problem, so we can fix it. So the next slide talks about what the defensive line is. We are ordinary people talking about this problem. We are not mental health experts. We think that by telling our story, we normalize the conversation. We get other people to talk about it. We identify the problem. We identify the resources. We identify how we can get through this together and work it. And so that's the key piece. Some of our goals for the defensive line, they're fourfold. The next slide. One is to reduce suicide in schools. Second is to make sure we increase the connection. And that big part of that is we are working nonstop in the areas we're doing our suicide prevention workshops. Right now, we're focusing in on North Texas and Dallas, We're also doing some in Houston, and the other major pieces in Vegas. Actually, I'm in Vegas right now as we speak. And I think you remember a couple of slides ago, I talked about for under the age of 24, suicide is the second leading cause of death. In Vegas, it's the #1 cause of death. So I'm here working with the Nevada Minority Health Equity Coalition. We're going into Clark County school districts so we can train educators on how to stop that from happening. The third goal is to broaden support for schools and teams by going in, talking about it. We talk to athletic directors, coaches. We talk to anybody who interfaces with young people of color. And then the fourth piece is making sure that we increase best practice usage of suicide prevention training across the platform. And we do that by working with other nonprofits. So for example, in Dallas, we work very closely with Dak Prescott's Faith Fight Finish. Solomon and Dak have worked together with American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, or AFSP, on getting our training videos, of talking about the upcoming 988 legislation. And then here in Vegas, we're working with Lady Gaga's Born This Way Foundation to work with kids of color, but also the LGBTQ community. So we're working with a variety of different nonprofits across the platforms we're in so that we can leverage each person's resources and strengths. So what is the defensive line's key difference? The next slide shows you that it's fourfold. One is we're actionable. The next slide, we're actionable, we're vulnerable, we're well-connected, and we also focus on people of color. And the reason why we think that makes a difference by focusing on people of color, we're not saying we're not going to talk to white students, but our North Star are kids of color, because kids of color are dying at 2 to 3 times the rate of white kids. And the reality is there has not been a lot of research or focus for students of color. So that's what we're about. But we will not turn back anybody, but our focus, our North Star, is kids of color. So the next slide sort of shares with you how we go about doing that. Storytelling as well as advocacy. So from a storytelling standpoint, the next slide shows some of the venues that Solomon, Martha, Ray Horst, who is our executive director, and myself have talked on. I won't go through all of them, but you can see ESPN, you can see NFL 360. You can see down at the bottom first column that we talked to Congress, the House Committee on Energy and Commerce. We've focused and worked with Players Tribune. So we're trying to get out there. And once again, the goal is if we talk to a lot of people, we can normalize the conversation. We can help people understand what the issue is. The second piece is advocacy, and that's through our suicide prevention workshops. And the next slide will share with you, if you go 2 slides, as a matter of fact, an overview of our workshop. So our workshop is about providing the scope of what the problem is. We talk about the language. We talk about how, it's important for someone, if they die by suicide, to say die by suicide, not commit suicide. You don't commit cancer. You don't commit diabetes. When someone dies by suicide, 90% of suicides involve somebody who's had a mental health condition. It's a sickness, it's a disease. So you don't commit a disease, you die by a disease. So we talk about those things. And then we lead teachers and coaches and other leaders of people through a discussion-based program of what we're all about. And we clarify their role, and that we have an action-oriented plan where they understand at the end of that 2-hour workshop, which we give to high schools for free, what they need to do. So the next slide just share with you how we do this. And how we do it is we frame it in this scope called D lines. Don't ignore your gut. Listen for the signs. Interact with the person who's in trouble. Name the concern. So John or Jennifer, I notice you haven't been sleeping well lately, or I notice you've been drinking more, or I notice you've been more irritable. So there's definite signs that I'm gonna show you here in a second that a person demonstrates when they are at risk. Then we evidence the concern. In particular, that's important for educators because you want to find a way to create a record so you can go back and refer to, hey, back in August 6th, I noticed this was going on. Back on July 30th, I saw this. So that's really critical for an educator. And then the last piece is we talk about a supportive environment, creating an environment of trust. And in this element, we also talk about unconscious, implicit bias. We talk about microaggressions, and we talk about how the average kid of color goes through 5.2 microaggressions per day. So give you an example of a microaggression. There were a lot of times that Ella was at the University of Arkansas or even Capel, someone will say to her, oh, you look good for a Black girl. That's a microaggression. Now that's a significant insult, but a microaggression means it's not systemic. A macroaggression means that you're creating some kind of prejudice or racism from a macro systemic level. Microaggressions, 5.2 per day for your average kid of color. So we walk teachers through how to get around that through micro interventions, through other tools that are available to get through that element. The next slide shows you some of the signs, the next 2 slides, as a matter of fact. These are some of the signs that people go through. Talk, mood, behavior. And we didn't know these signs until after Ella took her life. That sometimes when people talk more irritably, or when they're more anxious, or when their mood behavior changes, or a key thing for Ella was her behavior. She gave away a prized possession. I had no clue that when she came to me 3 days before she took her life and told me that her prized possession was her rescue dog, Mickey. It's a pit bull boxer mix. And she came to me and said, Dad, I want you to take care of Mickey. I'm not going to need to take care of him anymore. I had no clue her giving away prized possession was a sign that she had a plan to take her life. And the other key thing about that is when a lot of reasons why people die by suicide is because they don't want to die. They're just trying to get out of the pain that they're in. The pain is so great, they can't bear it. So the next slide gives you some more examples of things to look for. People who think they've got a preoccupation with death, they have dramatic mood swings, they are losing really important relationships. They feel like they're a burden, they feel worthless. There are like 8 or 9 different signs that we go through in this 2-hour workshop, and we work through them. And we help the educators understand, how do you document this? How do you create a plan? How do you make sure you work with this person? And then the other piece, the next slide, and the next 2 slides we'll walk through some of the myths that exist on suicide. One big myth about suicide is if you ask about them, that it'll increase the risk of someone dying by suicide. There's no scientific data, whether it's through American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the American Psychologists Association, through Mental Health America. There's no data that says if you ask someone, are you looking to take your life, will it cause them to take their life? There's no data whatsoever. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When you ask them if they're going to think about taking their life, it shows that you're concerned, that you have compassion for them, and you want to talk about it. And 9 times out of 10, the person just wants to be heard. So if you just listen to them, and there's some great tools that AFSP and Mental Health America have in helping you through these kind of conversations. So during the workshop, we walk through that, the other myths that are on this slide, as well as the next slide. If you go to it, please, it'll show some of the other myths, like those who talk about suicide don't do it. The reality is, if they're talking about it, they're thinking about it. So don't just poo-poo it and think, they're just kidding. They're not thinking about that. We help teachers and coaches know that that is a clear warning sign. And the other key myth is that no one can stop someone from dying from suicide. The reality is that is so untrue. By you talking to them, by you listening to them, you can create a situation where they will stop. And once again, AFSP has some great tools called Have a Real Conversation, Seize the Awkward. There's some of those conversation tools are on the defensive lines website. So we do all of that. So we talk to the D lines, don't ignore your gut, listen for the signs, interact, name the concern, evidence of concern, create a support environment. And the next slide shows you some of the outcomes we've been able to achieve by walking through this with these educators in Dallas, North Dallas, and in Vegas. We've seen almost a 50% increase in comfort level for teachers in identifying the signs of someone who's having a mental health challenge. There's been a huge reduction in levels of discomfort, almost a 26% reduction. And the one that I'm really impressed with is that of all the trainings we've done, we've trained, like I mentioned, high schools, middle schools in Vegas and Dallas, in Capel. We've got plans to do Richardson as well as all of Region 10. But we've also done this at Baylor University, Stanford University, and have plans to do it at Ohio State, Texas Tech, and TCU. The reality is 100% of those folks are walking away with an action plan to be able to stop someone who's in a crisis, which is to us the most important piece. And the other thing that is not on the slide that I think is important is the qualitative data. We have one a faculty member and coach from Baylor come up to Martha and Solomon after our Baylor session and said, I now know how to talk to my son about one of the most important things that I've been afraid to talk to him about, and that is his mental health. I will talk about everything else but his mental health and his suicide ideation. You've given me a tool, a platform, a way to communicate to him about that. Thank you. So that's a qualitative piece of data that we've been able to, I can share with you today. So let me give you, about done, game plan, the next slide. Here are some of the things we're going to be doing over the next 2 to 3 months. We're going to be following up with Congress here in September when they come back. We're working with Representative Julie Johnson. We're also going to work with Senator Cronin. We're also working with other senators in Nevada, as well as in Texas, to make sure 988 implementation is in. We're also working with other corporations on DEI partnerships. One of the things we've been able to do is work with Barack Obama's My Brother's Keeper organization, and we're going into corporations and talking about not only the defensive line, but also some DEI tools we've been able to accomplish. And we've been partnering with a lot of ISDs, or independent school districts, on expanding our workshop into schools that need to hear this, particularly schools of color or Tier 1 schools. Some of the things that I'll be doing to manage my own self-care, the next slide show, is I want to make sure as I do this work, because it is hard work. Whenever I share the story or see the video about how, Ella, we lost Ella, and how we're trying to do this and save lives, I got to make sure I focus on myself and I don't duplicate what Ella did, and burn the candle at both ends of the stick. So I try to find a way to stay focused on my whole health. I try to find, I got buckets of mental, physical, spiritual. I do journaling, I go to therapy. One of the things I try to do is make sure I'm helping others. One of the beauties of the pandemic is been able to listen to 3 or 4 sermons per week because they're still being Zoomed. So I'm a big walker and I can listen to a variety of different sermons, whether it's Chicago, TUCC, or Pastor McGill's in Dallas, or the First United Methodist Church in Capel. So I'm able to listen to a lot of sermons and keep myself grounded. And the other thing I always try to find a way to do is expand my mindset and to learn about as many cultures as I can. So that's a little bit about how I try to stay focused and manage my self-care. And then for those of you who are interested in trying to do something with the defensive line, the next slide shows the ways you can do that. You can follow us on social media. You can become a change agent, working with us or working with some of the nonprofits we work with, whether it's Faith Fight Finish, whether it's Born This Way, whether it's My Brother's Keeper. You can join the defensive line as we do these workshops. We do train the trainer sessions because we like to use volunteers to do this, people who really want to make an impact with students. And then I'm going to ask you to go 2 more slides ahead, and I'm going to give you a couple of numbers I'd like you to keep at your disposal. One is these are the national hotline that I always leave my presentations with, and that is the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, the National Crisis Line, but also the 741-741 number, and then 988, effective July 16th, there'll be a 988 number for people who are at risk for suicide or mental illness. And we think this is going to be a breakthrough line because it'll allow the police to not be in the business of trying to manage people's mental health. That's just a disaster waiting to happen. So, but those are some of the key tools that you have available. One of the things that we didn't know until after Ella passed away was that you can call these lines. You don't have to be the person in crisis. If you have a friend who you think you're concerned about, you can call these lines and they'll give you resources. They'll give you coaching techniques to work with your family member or your friend. So those are some great tools and resources aside from the defensiveline.org, AFSP, Mental Health America, the Steve Fund. Those are some other great resources, Faith Fight Finish. And I think I've gone over my time a little bit here, Crystal. I apologize. I tried to go as fast as I could. But at this stage, you can go back 1 slide and I'll just say thank you and I'll answer any questions anybody has. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful presentation. And before you all start asking questions, go ahead and get ready and unmute. This was not only important because I also knew Ella, and she was such a dear sweetheart to us all. But in the Black community, in minority community, when it comes to mental health, is criminalized. When we have people of color who deal with drug addiction is a disease, is criminalized. And so I thought this was very important. I know last month was Mental Health Awareness Month, but it was definitely important that we allow space for this presentation, because guess what? You all can be the intervention that saves somebody's life, the life of a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, a child of somebody else. So it was important to me that we all take this very seriously. And I know you all are in other spaces, so I pray that you all will reach out to this organization, whether it's with your church, another community organization, that we can get Chris and the Defensive Line organization to share this information as much as possible, that we can advocate for people that are in a space where they can't advocate for themselves. So thank you so much for sharing with us, and not only with us, but being so vulnerable and transparent with the world about a tragedy that you all have turned into a message. So I am grateful for you all. I'm definitely continuing to pray for you all. And so let me turn it over to anybody. I see Miss Gloria has her hand up.
Yes, Chris, I just wanted to say thank you also for this presentation. And maybe when my little streaming show gets bigger, I can interview you on on it. But I say that I could have been Ella, and I have dealt with the challenge of depression since probably over 40 years. I've been there where I have wanted to commit suicide and was blessed that it did not happen, that God had other things, for me to do here. I love the myths that you talked about because they are real. I love how when you're talking, people are so afraid to talk about these things. And it's so, so sad when we are dying every day. And, the Black community is horrendous. We have so many family secrets, it's crazy. But I personally believe that 2 of my family members committed suicide. I just don't have proof. And I believe it because the last conversation that I had with them before it happened. And I've always talked about it in my family. And a lot of times people didn't want to hear it because they don't want to deal with it. And so I just say thank you, because I've heard lots of presentations on it. I've been through lots of therapy, continue to be in therapy because I deal with a chemical imbalance, and anything can make it do what it does. But it's just something that when you talked about it with an authenticity that's not so clinical, that everyday people can relate to it. And that's what I really, really liked about it. And the other side of that is my plans are to get in contact with you, because I would love to be trained to be a trainer to talk about this, because it's real. It's real. And we have.
Amen. You're so right. It is real. And what I'll do in the chat, I'll put my email. So anybody who wants to email me, that way you have it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind words. You really, and I'm so sorry about your family members who died by suicide. And your comment about chemical imbalance in the brain, and that's what it is. I mean, when you think about 90% of suicides that are followed through are typically with somebody who has depression or some type of mental health illness. And, I think what Crystal just talked about, May was Mental Health Month. And, the defensive line recently connected with Kenneth Cole's Mental Health Foundation. I met with Dr. Alfie in New York City, and we were talking about how, now it's 1 out of 4 families have someone in their family diagnosed with mental health condition. And in my mind, if 1 out of 4 have been diagnosed, it's actually 4 out of 4, because if you're dealing with somebody with a mental health condition, it takes everything to manage that person. So I'm glad that you've gotten help. I'm glad that you're able to participate in this event tonight, and you're alive and sounds like you're doing well. So congratulations.
Oh, I'm doing fabulous. It's just, it comes and goes, and you
Yes,
just
ma'am.
have to know what you're dealing with. And as people, and talk to other people, because that's one of the things that it seems God has given me. I can almost look in a person's eyes now and see that hurt. And like you say, it's not that they want to die. They just want to be out of the pain.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you could see the pain, then but we're moving so fast in our lives, it's very hard for us to see the pain in another person's eyes. But anyway, I could go on forever. I'm done. I'll be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Chris, it's Mr. Moore. I would also love to get that information from you, so we can connect as well and impact the community in the best way we can.
Absolutely. I'd be more than happy. I did just, if it worked, I put my email in the chat. So just send me an email. One of the beauties, I think I mentioned earlier about Dallas, is I've been blessed with some great connections within other nonprofits. One of them is Grant Halliburton, which I know typically focuses on the non-people of color side, but through that alliance with Grant Halliburton, I connected with a brother called Patrick LeBlanc, and he's got a great organization. He's been doing some demystifying the myth of mental health in South Dallas. So him and I have been doing some work together. We're trying to get into some churches to talk about it, because we think that we talk about this within some of the community, our own Black communities. We can help educate, because it's really an education piece. Like Gloria said, we've got so many sort of these myths and fallacies about mental health that, we just got to just start debunking the myths. So I'd be more looking forward to connecting with you and anybody else who wants to try to find a way to make a difference. Thank you.
Chris, I just wanted to say I appreciate you sharing about your family and really helping to fill a gap in our community. So I appreciate that. One thing that I did want to share, I recently started volunteering with an organization that is focused on youth violence prevention, but they made me aware that July is National Minority Mental Health Month.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure if you were aware of that, and just any opportunity. So I will get your email. But the other piece was, as a parent, I saw that you guys do a lot in the schools. Do you have a parent training or a parent specific portion that you all offer? And if you do not, I would be willing to help put that together or to facilitate that in any way.
Yeah, the answer to your question is what we've done so far is, because we think that the training we've been giving to teachers and coaches, we think it has application to parents, but I think we need to do some modifications, some small tweaks. I think we got the 80 for the 20. So I think I take you up on both those elements. One is any feedback you would have as a parent, and then separately, I'd be more than happy to share, what we're doing, so we can set up some time, and I can walk you through that, and you can give us your recommendations. And then, if I remember correctly, at the beginning, I think you mentioned you're at the Louisville ISD, and in fact, that's one of the areas that we're looking. I think Louisville is in Region 10, so we're looking to try to get into Louisville, because we've done Capel, and I think actually Louisville has a better fit for this type of training. And I think your new superintendent is Lori Rapp or something like that. So I would love to also connect with you about that as well, if you don't mind, Renata.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you so much again.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Renata, for that question and comment there. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Well, thank you all so much. And as Renata mentioned, that next month is suicide. Is it Suicide Awareness Month in July?
July is what they call Minority Mental Health Month,
Okay.
or they call it BIPOC Month, or Baby Campbell. So Baby Campbell was she was one of the leaders of Black African American mental health. She worked for the American Psychologists Association, and so she was in the forefront of this. So they named the July Minority Mental Health Month after her. And there's a lot of great information. We'll have it on the defensive line, but also Mental Health America does a great job of celebrating Mental Health Month. And then Dak and Solly are going to be doing some videos together, as well as they're going to Capitol Hill together in July to do some mental health suicide prevention work on Capitol Hill. So we'll have a lot of that information on our website as well as our social media. But yeah, that's a really good opportunity to do some more things. And I can share with you some options, Chris, if you want to do anything else with the NAACP, either virtually or live time. So let me know.
I will definitely do that. Now, I don't know if you all, there is a mental health certification. I think it's like an 8-hour course.
Oh yeah,
so,
mental health first aid. Yes, yes.
Okay, so
yes.
I don't know if you all provide that. If not, I know another organization that does. So to our audience here, I will speak some more with Chris to see if their organization provides it, and if not, there's another organization that I know that does. And I'll ask Drew and our communications team to be sure to put that in our upcoming newsletter. So you all be looking out for that, and it'll be an opportunity for you to get a free certification in mental health prevention or for next month.
And I'll also connect you with another training. It's called QPR. I've got a really good friend in Charlotte, North Carolina. Her name is Fonda Bryant. She provides these QPR gatekeeper trainings. And I'll send that to you as well. I've got a couple that you can look at. Okay.
Okay, Drew, and if Olivia, one of you all could put, I'll make sure to connect you all so we can make sure we get all of that in our upcoming newsletter. So thank you so much. Are there anybody else have any comments? And you all, if you all notice, I did change things around because I did not under any circumstances want to rush this presentation. This is, again, very important for each of us to get this information. So I wanted to give Chris as much time as he needed to share with us on this afternoon. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate that. And I think I pushed the wrong thing here. Okay, great, great, great. So awesome. So you all, I'm going to share my screen again. I think I am. Okay. Okay. So with our team updates for you all that are new on the call, and you, Olivia and Monica, I made spotlighted Mr. Thomas, and I don't know how to undo it, so I'm sorry, but you all can see the screen. So for you all that are new on the call, we're going to have an update from our Economic Opportunity Committee and team.
Hi, Crystal. Sorry, you may have missed my message, but we don't have an update for today. We're still working behind the scenes of the North Texas Giving Day. So nothing to share for the general body today.
Okay, no worries. I'm sorry. And I apologize that I didn't get that message in time, but that's fine. And you all, so our economic team has been very hard at work. And so I'm appreciative of our Madam Treasurer of juggling both of those. And so we'll definitely in July, before I forget, our meeting actually falls on the 4th of July. So instead of us meeting on the 4th of July during this space of our general meeting, we'll have our committee and teams meetings. So we definitely want each and every one of you to be sure to tune into that meeting. But in the meanwhile, Olivia, if you could drop all of the links for the GroupMe chat and for the opt-in for communications, because there will be things going on in the meanwhile, and I want you all to be able to connect before the meeting. Education team, do we have a report this evening?
Yes, Crystal.
Okay.
The Education Committee is participating in a back-to-school drive on July 30th with Westside Baptist Church and the CCAAP of Louisville. We are also encouraging any volunteers to attend school board meetings in the school districts that DFW Metro covers, and those would be Capel, Carrollton, Louisville, Flower Mound, and Grapevine, and possibly Little Elm. And we would ask those volunteers to attend the school board meetings and report back monthly. We're also still working on our hackathon, which we hope to have occur in October or November of this year. We're still searching for a venue. And also we are going to participate in the North Texas Giving Day, hopefully to raise about $3,000 in scholarships. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Levert. We appreciate all that you and Mr. Morris are doing with our education team. Thank you so much. Communicate, and if any of you all are interested in any of the committees that have reported tonight, or even the ones that are reporting next month, or that you just may have an interest in, make sure you put that in the chat so that you can connect via our Madam Treasurer, Ms. Monica, or Dr. Levert, or Drew, or anybody. Make sure you send them a message in the chat so you can connect with their team. Drew?
Can you let me share screen?
I can, but you know what, Drew, before you start, I did see in the chat, Pastor Halton has a counseling. Y'all know I'm struggling trying to do chat and run this. Pastor Halton, if you're still on, can you go ahead and give your report while I'm giving Drew permissions?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, because you know I'm barely reading, but I think I saw that.
Yeah, you did. You did. I have a premarital counseling session to get to for a couple. But yeah, so for the State of the Black Church event, we do, I think that it's not going to be an issue with the venue. We have one of the deacons that's I've been in communication with, I think the day right after our meeting. So I don't think it's going to be hard as far as the venue. It's most likely will be at Westside Baptist Church on a Wednesday, but getting in touch with the speaker, he's had a busy schedule, so I was trying to lock it down. What I'd rather do, or I would like to do, is also add some, before we lock down the date, also get some alternate speakers for just in case we have to get someone else. And if he just can't do it, we have someone else that can, and then that'll be a lot better for us if we lock down that venue and the date. I don't want to waste their time. So we have a backup speaker in case our initial speaker that we would like cannot make it. So I'll reach out one more time and try to get that locked down. If not, then we'll look for some alternates and we'll go ahead and get our date out. We're still looking at August.
Okay. Pastor Halton, when you and I talk, let's make sure to talk to see if we can find somebody in the community that has access for us to make sure that the meal is sponsored as well.
Oh, cool.
I don't know. Have you already did that?
Not meals. It'll be meals for everyone, all the guests.
Yes, that's what I would like to do. We may have to do it through partner with my organization to see. Let's make sure we talk about that this week so we can start working on that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because if nothing else, especially with COVID, that maybe they can pick up a box meal as they depart or something.
As they leave. Oh, yeah, that's probably going to be best.
Okay, yes. So let's make sure we talk about that. Okay.
Okay, we will.
Yeah, I'll that and possibly any type of gift bag or something. Let's talk to make sure we make that nice, because that'll be our first official in-person event, because you all know we started our organization in the midst of COVID. So we haven't had that opportunity to meet in person. Well, we did a small fellowship during the holidays, but this will be our first full event. Okay, thank you so much for that update, Pastor Halton. All of you all on the call, if you know any chaplains, ministers, pastors, lay leaders, or what have you, or just anybody that would like to connect with our Pastoral Affairs Committee or our Health and Wellness team or our Veterans Affairs, please let us know. Again, before Pastor Halton gets off the call, let him know or let me know afterwards. Thank you so much, Pastor Halton, for all that you do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Drew?
Yeah, can you see my screen or not?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, great. I'm sorry.
I think I may need to stop sharing.
About that. Okay, so the communications team, I want to report that our past projects included completing the June newsletter. And then because we had a nice article from Dr. Alicia Cobbs, we put out a special Juneteenth edition with all kinds of more information. We are looking for volunteers to write, edit, and proofread content for Black History Moment, press releases, newsletters, social media posts, and also our other plan is, of course, to complete the July newsletter. And if you know some young person, I know the young people are having a rough time right now. And I really think that if you know some young people who are just interested at all in writing or being involved in communications, you know, we will help them. We will teach them some of these skills, and they can use those skills for, you know, applying to jobs, applying to colleges, and just it will help them in the future, and they might really fall in love with it. So if you know any young people that are looking for involvement, and I really do believe, my father used to say, busy hands are happy hands. He'd always tell us this before we had to mow the lawn. So I do believe that when people have, you know, a purpose beyond themselves, it can help with things like depression and feeling disconnected. So if anybody, I will put my email and phone number in the chat for everybody. And then if anybody, you know, knows somebody they think might be interested, I'm definitely willing to call them and talk to them and help them join our communications team. It's exciting and it's important work for this chapter. Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you so much, Drew. Drew has been our rock star for our branch. She has led our communications team since day one. She executed and initiated the platform for our newsletters. She's been doing everything with formatting, writing, and creating flyers and everything. So she desperately needs the help. We enjoy Drew, but Drew needs a break every now and again, and she needs help and not to have to do this by herself. So thank you, Drew, for answering all of my continuous and overwhelming calls, requests, emails, and texts. You all, I probably get on Drew's nerve. And so thank you so much for all that you do, Drew. You all, we have just a couple of more updates, so I appreciate you all hanging in here. I am about to share my screen again, but before I do so, I want to go back to our speaker. There are a couple of people shared some things in the chat, and then we have some of you that were transparent with us as a group. You all know that I'm a chaplain as well. I just want to remind you all of that. Everybody on the call, I think, has a way to contact me, a phone number. You all, I'm begging you. I am begging you at any point that you feel overwhelmed, you want to talk, you want to hang out. I tell you what the enemy does. Oftentimes when he comes to kill, steal, and destroy, we understand that. But isolation you'll get in a funk where you don't want to go out, you don't want to do anything, you don't feel like combing your hair, if you ever feel that you're in a space where you're getting low, reach out. I'm making myself available. Chris has shared the 988 number that's going live here soon. He shared his contact information, and I am begging each and every one of you. I promise you, if you just want to come hang out with me, let's go to lunch, let's go walk, you want to talk, cry, whatever. I'm available to each and every one of you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, okay? I'm going to share my screen again. I think I am. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Okay, thank you. You all, and I apologize, next month, and I'm going to introduce Olivia in just a second because I'm working on getting some help with this because it's hard to do the meeting, control Zoom and PowerPoint. It's chewing gum, walking, chewing gum backwards and all that at the same time. We do not have a legal redress team at this time. So if you know anybody that's interested in helping to lead our legal redress team, you do not have to have a legal background at all, but we definitely need the help. So if anybody's available, or if you know someone that may be interested in and available to assist with that, please let us know. Also, likewise, for the health and wellness team, we do have someone interested in our Veterans Affairs, helping us with that. And I'm going to be contacting Holly as well. So if you know anybody that's a veteran that wants to help in that capacity and join that team, definitely let us know. We already had our report from our religious affairs from Pastor Halton. Political action is next. Let me see. They may have left. Kay, are you still on? Okay, Kay had to leave, I guess. So, and Gloria, if you have any updates, you can in just a second as well. With the political action team, you all listen. All elections are important, okay? But we definitely need as many of you as possible to become a BDR. As you all know, in the spring of the year, we were given the opportunity to do voter registration at the Mavericks games. We are working on another huge demand with another athletic organization. So we need as many of you as possible to get involved and connect with us as far as voter registration goes. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that shortly. So definitely, it only takes a second for you to become a BDR. You can go to Dallas County Elections Department or whatever county that you're in to become a BDR, okay? So again, you all, I'm trying to do this. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, okay, wait a second. I forgot this slide is mixed up. Olivia, you see that slide? Remind me to try to fix that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because it messed up last month and I forgot to take care of it. So the youth hackathon, we mentioned that earlier. If you're interested in that, in the comments, connect with Dr. Levert or the education team, because that is going to fall up under the education umbrella. We definitely still need help with that. Again, we're looking at the fall of the year. I did talk to someone last week, I'm sorry. So I think we may actually have a venue. I just got to meet with them one more time to solidify that, but we're super excited and looking forward to that. And of course, Juneteenth has passed, and you all, I made up a word for Juneteenth. It's called Juneteenthing. I was Juneteenthing with an ing at the end since last Wednesday. There were wonderful events all over the region, and I was at a event and multiple events. I think I counted almost 13 that I was able to make it to. I did more Juneteenth in this year than I have ever in my life, and I hope you all did too. So next year we will be looking for somebody. If anybody's interested in putting something together that we can either partner with or do with our branch, definitely let us know. We are also looking for someone to help with our Freedom Fund banquet, which you all know is one of the staple events for the NAACP, and it's an opportunity to raise money for scholarships for our youth. So if anybody has the time and would like to tackle that this task, please let me know, because we need your help. And also annual holiday gala, we need a committee and some people to help with that as well. Also with branch fundraising. So all those last three talk about money, because you all we have not did what we need to do there. So we definitely help with that. You all, I just thought about something that we need to do. Let me stop sharing for a second. We have a couple of announcements. Is anybody on the call? You all, please forgive me, but the National NAACP convention is in New Jersey this year. We're going to share a little, and it was in the newsletter. Is there anybody on the call that would be interested in going to New Jersey as a delegate? If you are, please let us know. Now, let me let you all know before y'all volunteer, that will be at your own expense, okay? So I just want to let you all know that you would have to be a member of the branch. So definitely in the chat, let me know directly if you are interested. Anybody interested, you all let me know that, like, as soon as possible.
Dates?
Okay, I'll give that to you in just a second.
I'm also highly interested as well.
Okay, sounds great. Okay, so you also, what we'll do is, because I actually have to turn those names in, and we will have to vote. So those of you that are members, we will probably do an electronic vote. That's not necessarily how we're supposed to do it, but that's what we're going to have to do, because we're not going to have another meeting just to vote in our delegates. Okay, so after I talk to the ones that are interested, okay, great. So I saw Mr. Moore, and was that Holly's? I saw someone else that was interested. Okay, you all make sure to let me know who all's interested in that, so I can get that information to you all. And I will not be going this year. Unfortunately, it's out of my budget. I'll be out of house and home paying gas and electricity to go to that convention, because I calculated about $2,500. So I won't be able to make it this year. But and at this point, I have not heard yet if they're going to have a virtual option. So if they do, we definitely will send out that communication. Okay, so I got Mr. Moore, and if anybody else, I heard there was somebody else that mentioned it. CCAAP, Concerned CAP. That's Concerned Citizens and African American Parents. Their meeting is on the third Thursday at 6:30. So I believe that might have been last week. But check out their website. They're one of our partners that we support in the community. We support the things they do, and they support us. And they are an education advocacy group in the Louisville area. And again, that's citizensandparents.org. I want you all to check out their website and definitely support CAP. Again, as I mentioned earlier, our committee and team meetings are going to be on Tuesday, July the 19th, and this on the third Tuesday next month. We're only doing that in July because our regular meeting for our committee meeting falls on July the 4th. So I know you all are going to be celebrating, doing fireworks, eating plenty of barbecue and watermelon and all that good stuff. So we're going to move our committee team meeting to the space where we would generally have our regular meeting today. So it'll be July the 19th at 6 p.m. I'm so sorry. And it's note that get your phone and take a picture, because that's the Zoom link information. I mentioned that we need VDR. People in the community that have been contacting us. Again, I told you at this time we do not have a legal redress team. But in the meanwhile, Friendship West offers a legal clinic, a virtual free legal clinic where you can talk to actual attorneys. So that's every third Wednesday of the month. Matter of fact, they will be meeting on tomorrow. If you would go to Friendship West website, take a picture of this link, use it if needed, share it with others as well to access those resources. We mentioned the VDR. VDR is Volunteer Deputy Registrar that allows you in the state of Texas to register people to vote. Note, it is against the law for you to do it if you are not certified and deputized by a county. Once you are certified and deputized by any county, you can take that validation to any other county and they will recognize it, and you will not have to take the training and test over again. So take a picture of this information. Dallas offers a virtual option and an in-person option. Literally, you can study those slides within 20 minutes, print out your test. They provide the answers for you to study the test and take that to the local office and they will certify you. So take a picture of this, just look up your county, whether that's Dallas County Elections Department, Dean County Elections Department, Tarrant, Collin, or what have you, okay? Okay, I told y'all my screen is.
Crystal, could I just say a little bit relative to the voter registration?
Absolutely.
If
yes,
anyone is from, like I am, from small town, Texas somewhere, if you have time, check on the Black folks in your rural town. We need these rural communities, and especially those people who look like us, to get out and vote. And depending on what's going on in that little town, and part of it, I mean, I know because I'm from a little town, but some of the stuff has come up with Uvalde in that shooting. I can't prove anything yet, but I believe there's a lot of voter suppression going on in those rural counties, and they are being swayed towards a particular party. And I'm being as nonpartisan as I possibly can. But if you're, and I'm just saying that just out of, just interest, if you're from a rural county, check on your county. If you're already a VDR, try to become one there. And if not, you can just get the ones that you mail in, and just make sure people are registered and that they know how to vote, etc., because we're going to need these rural counties to come through. The metropolitan counties are going to be good, and that's what the big wigs always, because that's where the majority of the votes are. But we need to look into some of these rural counties, because a lot of them have a lot of black people and people of brown people, but they are being intimidated in a lot of ways, and they either are not voting or being told to vote, who to vote for, and I don't know what's going on with some of the elections. I don't know if some of you saw, but the guy who was the mayor supposedly in Uvalde, when you look up the statistics, he actually lost the election. So we've been trying to figure out how was he the mayor. So, but anyway, long story short, that was just something I wanted to say, because I had experience this weekend in my own little town, in my own little county, and we just need to make sure that these rural counties are out there voting.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Gloria. And people laugh at me and look at me crazy when I say it. The reality is, in some states, you can register to vote the day of the election. In Texas, you have to be registered to vote 30 days in advance. So we got folks that tune in to Hulu, what's the other one? Netflix and all this. So they're not watching the news. or they're listening to XM radio and all of that. They're not hearing the news to know what's going on. So in the event that someone wanted to pull a smooth one and have us back out in cotton fields, and they found at the last minute, I know that sounds extreme, but the reality is the Voting Rights Act new laws that they just passed are just as suppressive, right? And guess what? We didn't have enough people that were either registered to vote or thought it was important enough to vote to have stopped it. So if we could not stop that, it's not really that outlandish to suggest that they could have us back out in these fields picking cotton. And again, I know that's a very extreme example, but the reality of it is, if you're not registered to vote and you're not out voting, if someone was to put something crazy on the ballot, we can't stop it. Once you find out, if it's going to be too late, if you're not already registered to vote. So everybody, I encourage people at your family reunions, at your church, we have to start encouraging our churches. Every church needs to identify at least 2 people in that congregation that is deputized and can register people to vote. Provide space in their foyer, post their name in the bulletin on the website so they can reach out to those people that are identified in that congregation who can register their members to vote. Be a block captain. Make sure everybody on your block is registered to vote. Your family reunion, your sorority, everybody needs to play a part, and this needs to be a priority for everybody. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that, Gloria. Anybody have anything else? And we're going to wrap up. And again, I thank you all for being patient. And oh, I know. So, y'all, okay. Okay, I think I stopped sharing. So listen, you all, drum roll. I want you all to meet, you all listen. Renata, me and her had this conversation earlier today. You all know I have been overwhelmed with everything. Chris saw me out, the Mavericks hosting an event, and that's where I saw Chris at. I'm constantly on the go. And God has sent some amazing interns to help me with my own personal nonprofit organization. So if anybody go out there and says that Crystal is doing such and such with the NAACP platform, that's a tell them that's a tell. I'm using my resources from my own personal organization to make sure we stay afloat. And so Olivia reached out to me. She is a student at UT in Austin. She is a psychology major. She reached out to volunteer with my personal organization, and I said, absolutely. But I begged, plead, I pulled at her feet at everything and said, would you please help us out with DFW Metro NAACP as well? And so she is helping out. You all please give her a hand. She has been a lifesaver, because if y'all think I got a lot going on, she probably is wondering, what is this woman? What is this woman not doing? Olivia, y'all, came through the door running, because y'all, I literally have a million things going on. Y'all just wouldn't imagine. It is not an easy task, because I wear many hats, and she has jumped in. She and Kay's daughter, Ariel, and we have a student from U of H that's in Houston that's also working with my personal organization. And they both are all 3 of them are helping with the NAACP as well. So you all, let's thank Olivia for all that she's already doing to help us out. We really, really appreciate you so much. And if you all have other interns, we need them on board, okay? So that's all that we have. So you all wait just a second, because we have our Black History moment that I want you all to take a picture of this. If you know anybody willing to do our Black History moment, we need to resume that because we've missed a couple of weeks, a month. So we definitely want to start out our meeting next month. So if you know somebody that wants to render 5 minutes for our Black History moment, please have them to reach out. If you have not received your emails or newsletter, check your spam, because it's hiding there, all of them. I had somebody call me and fuss. I signed up and y'all hadn't sent me nothing. I said, well, ma'am, just a second. Oh, she was blessing me out, you all. And I told her what to look for. And she said, oh my God, They're all there. I said, I told you they were all there. So make sure you opt in at dfwmetro.naacp.org. Thank you all to our officers. Oh, lastly, okay, so thank you to each and every one of you all. Last thing, you all, we got to elect officers this year, okay? If you are willing to sacrifice some time, this is not just a title. If you just want a title and to announce to somebody that you're an officer, I'm personally asking you to not. I don't want you on board, okay? But if you're willing to really get out here in the trenches and help us with the work, definitely let us know and get connected. We need you on board as one of our officers and leaders for this branch. So that is all I have for you all. Dear God, in the name of Jesus, thank you for this time together, everything that has been shared today, everybody who has joined us. We thank you for the amazing presentation that Chris has given to us. We want to continue to pray for him and his family as they turn grief into a message that's saving others and advocating for those that don't have a voice. We thank you for all that they're doing in the community. We thank you for the new members that have joined us. We even received people that actually paid and joined through this meeting today. So we're looking forward to them connecting. We thank you for those that tuned in to visit and are considering getting active in our work. We thank you for each and everybody here today, because in some shape, form, or fashion, they've already impacted or they have a heart and they're planning to impact together with us in making a difference in this community. Thank you for using us for this cause, Lord. We just pray that you continue to lead and guide us in everything that we do, that we are making a difference and serving the people as you have called us to do. In the name of Jesus, we love you, and amen. Thank you all so much. And if you are new, please stay on and chat with me so we can make sure to get you all connected. And Chris, thank you so much again. Please tell Martha I said hello and tell her to let me know when she has free time so I can go grab some lunch. Absolutely. Or y'all invite me over so I can sit on the patio with you all. I'll bring a snack.
There we go.
I would love that, because y'all got all the pretty trees over there. So y'all invite me over and I'll cook one of my buttermilk pies or bring a snack, and then I can visit with both of you.
There we go. Sounds good.
Okay, I love you all dearly. Tell Solomon I said hello too. Tell him to stop by and say hello.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody, thank you so much, Holly. Y'all, let's welcome Holly. She is one of our newest members of DFW Metro. She has joined our branch. Isn't that exciting? And anybody else that wants to join, definitely connect. The information has been shared in the chat, but if you're new, go ahead and stay on real quick so we can connect you. And anybody else Drew, anybody else have anything? Oh, y'all, I thought